Hi, this is Mike Kent, Professor of Computer Information Technology, and I'm the teacher of ITSC 1309 Integrated Software Applications 1. And I wanted to create a little orientation video to show you the ins and outs of my Blackboard site and some common pitfalls my students run into. So first thing you want to do when you get in is head to Start Here, and that's where you found this video. So under Start Here, you'll see I have How to Get Started. I have the all-important first day handout and the all-important calendar of due dates. So if I click on the first day handout, you will see, let me make it a little bit smaller here, you'll see the information for the class, my contact information. By the way, the best way to reach me is my cell phone number. This is my 5-week class, so the calendar, this is just a rough overview of the 5 weeks of the class. Now, a couple things to make sure to pass the class. You got to have a passing test average and a passing lab average. 70% of your grade is the tests and 30% is your labs. Now your labs are going to be broken into two parts. You're going to go to the samm2010.course.com website, create an account, type in your access key that came with the book. If you bought a used book, you have to buy the access key separately. And you're going to do training exercises, training assignments. Then I also have some labs on Blackboard that you're going to do, and those are going to be located under the Units of Work button. But back to Start Here. So let's look at the calendar of due dates under the Start Here button. So this is the calendar for my 5-week class, and obviously if you're in a 16-week class, this calendar is going to be spread out over 16 weeks. But you can see I'm listing when assignments are due, when labs are due, and when you should be taking the test by. Now, if you can work faster than this, more power to you. I encourage you to work ahead in this class so that you have a buffer if problems pop up, or if you have questions. Sometimes it might take a little while to get a response from me. So please work ahead. Now the rest of the Start Here gives you some information on setting up your Samm 2010 account on the Samm website, a little mini tour of the Blackboard site, the textbook, how to get help from Samm Technical Support if you're having trouble on the Cengage Samm website, and how to get help on Blackboard support. Of course, the best way to get help is to call me, to contact me. So you'll see all over Blackboard, you'll see my contact information, my email and my cell phone number. And that's on almost everything you see. So where you're going to live when you're doing the work in this class, though, is the Units of Work button. So I'm going to go to Units of Work, and at the top you'll see your orientation assignment. And then as we go down, you'll see the 5 units of the class. Now, whenever you're working these units, you're always going to work the units from top to bottom. I mean, the first thing you have to turn in is your orientation assignment. But let's take a look at Unit 1, just as an example. So in Unit 1, the first thing, you're going to work it from top to bottom. So you're going to do your Samm assignments. If you open up this Samm assignment sheet right here, it'll give you detailed instructions on how to do that. And then I've linked to a video that the textbook publisher shows you how to do the assignments as well. And I've got the due date. After you do the assignments, sometimes they'll be lab assignments, sometimes the lab assignments will be before the Samm assignments, and then you're going to take a practice test and you're going to take a test. And you see I got an email there. So let's look at the assignment sheet 1, and you can open it or save it. I recommend saving it, and in this case I've already created a folder on my desktop called ITSC 1309, and I'm going to save assignment sheet 1 there, and once it's saved I can hit open. So this is detailed instructions on how to do your first assignment sheet. So it's telling you the institution key you need to get into Samm, the name of my class on Samm, and the assignment you're supposed to do. And here's a screenshot of what it's going to look like when you get into Samm. I'm going to show you Samm in just a few minutes. Now, coming back into the Unit 1, normally there'll be labs you have to do. We don't have any labs for Unit 1, but like if I go back to Units of Work and go to Unit 2, you see it's a little bit different. You start out by doing Lab 1, and Lab 2. Then you do your SAM training assignment. Then you're going to do Lab 3 and Lab 4. Then you're going to take your practice test and your test. So, let me jump over to SAM so I can show you what that looks like. So the website for SAM is sam2010.course.com. And when you first come to this website, you're going to have to say new user, and I have a video on Blackboard from the publisher that shows you how to create a new user. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in as a student. And this student is already been joined to the class section. So when you're in SAM, you're going to go to SAM Assignments. And when you're in SAM Assignments, right here it's going to show you everything: exams, training, projects. So the exams are on page 1. So you see there's a practice test and a real test, a practice test and a real test. The training is on page 2 and 3. So I'm going to click on the little 2 down here in the corner, and you'll see your first training you have to do is for Windows, and that's 1.1 and 1.2. So just as an example, I'll go into 1.2 and click OK, and it's going to pop up the training window. By the way, you need to use Internet Explorer or you need to use Firefox. Do not use Google Chrome with SAM. It doesn't like it. So now that I'm in here, it's giving me a little blurb on the training, and I click Continue.
In the navigation pane, click Local Disk C.
And actually, it started under the Observe button, where it's going to show you how to do it step by step and talk to you. So make sure you have your headphones plugged in. If you know how to do this, and a lot of these things you're already going to know how to do, just go straight to the Apply button, read the blurb, and then it's going to say, here's what you're supposed to do. In the navigation pane of the computer information, click on Local Disk C to view the contents in the right pane. So in the navigation, I want to come down here to Local Disk C, click on it, and that was real tough, wasn't it? And then it said, you have completed the task. Now I hit Task Complete, and now you see it's on step 2 out of 14. So I completed 1 out of 14. Now once again, it jumps back to Observe. So whenever you're doing training, it'll give you the blurb. I recommend you just go straight to Apply if it's something you're pretty familiar with. You read the blurb. Here's the instructions it wants me to do. In the navigation pane of Explorer, click on the Customers folder to display its contents. So all I got to do right here to complete this task is to click on Customers. I know it was real hard. And then it says you have completed the task. At that point, you always come down here and say Task Complete, and it's going to move on to the next item. So now I'm on item number 3. Now, a couple things. Show Task List over here on the bottom left. You see it's got a check mark on the first 2 because I've completed them. So since I've completed them, say I get an interruption, phone call, I have to leave, I can't do it all in one sitting. So at this point, I can hit Exit and say, yes, I want to exit. I don't need to print it, I can just hit Close. Now later on, when I need to continue working on 1.2 Windows, I can click on it, hit OK to launch it. Now by default, it's going to bring me to task number 1 out of 14. You see that right here? But if I go to my Start Task List, I can click on number 3, and you see that the first 2 still have check marks, so I can pick up where I left off. So if you can't do it all in one sitting, you can complete your training on SAM a little bit at a time. So I'll click on number 3, then I'll say Continue. Actually, I don't want to observe, I want to go to Apply in this case. I can read the text that goes with it, say Continue, and in this case, on the right pane of the documentation window, click on the logo JPEG and press and hold the Shift key, and then click on the Safety Manual .x. So they want me to click on this, and hold down my Shift key, and click on the last one. So what that does is select everything between those 2 points, and now it says Task Complete. Once again, I hit Task Complete. That's how you do your training. That's going to be your assignment grades. Okay? That's going to be done on Samm 2010. Now when you go to take your test, that's going to be on page 1. I want you to always do the practice test first to get ready for the real test. In fact, you can take the practice test up to 3 times, and then the real test for each unit, you can only take it once. Alright, I'm going to log out. I'm going to close this window and go back to Blackboard. Now, as an example, in Unit 2 of Word, you'll see I have you do some lab assignments from the book. So you need to download all these documents to go with Lab 1, do the assignment, and then you're going to come back to Blackboard to turn it in. So this, if you click on a document, most of the time it's going to pop up and say, what do you want to do, open or save? So I'm going to say save. I'm going to save it to my 1309 folder. Then I'm going to go to the next document and save it to the same place. Now, if I click on Frog, hey, it didn't ask me to save it. It just opened it in another window because Frog's a picture. So on this one, I have to right-click on it and say Save Target As. And once again, on the desktop, ITSC 1309, that's where I want to save the frog. Now, if I open my Explorer up, here's the lab instructions. So here's the Lab 1 instructions. I'm going to open that up, and it says, do the tan sections of the book from WD 28 to WD 43. So each section of the book, the pages aren't 1 to 1000. It starts over at 1 at Word. So WD means Microsoft Word. And on WD 28 through WD 43 is step-by-step instructions to create the document called Author Flyer. Okay? So I'm going to open up Author. And the first thing the book's going to have you do, well, I got to make sure I say Enable Editing. It's going to have you go File, Save As, and they're going to have you save it as Author Flyer. Then you're going to do a bunch of formatting to this document. You're going to replace the parrot picture with a frog picture. It's going to look very nice, and once you have it completely done, then you're going to go back to Blackboard to turn this lab assignment in. Now the way you do that is you click on the title of the lab, scroll down to Browse My Computer, and where was that? It was on the desktop. And then it's ITSC 1309, not 1309, it's ITSC 1309. Let me find it. There it is right there. And there's the author flyer. And then I hit open, and you see right now it's listing that file. You have attached that file to send it to me for grading. The last thing you have to do is hit submit. Now I'm not actually going to hit submit because I'm not a student. So I'm actually just going to hit cancel. So that's how you turn in labs. You turn in labs to Blackboard. You do your assignments, your training assignments on samm2010.course.com. Now, one other thing I want to point out to you is some of the units of work, some of the labs are a little harder. So like for Excel, some of my students have trouble with this Lab 6. So I've created a YouTube video that explains how to do Lab 6. So please click on that video to see how to do Lab 6. Unit 4. Access, Microsoft Access. There's only one lab. You're going to do 3 sets of training on Samm, but you have to do one lab assignment, lab number 8. On this one, I've created 2 different videos. One shows you how to create an access table, and one shows you how to run queries. The videos are short. They're 8 to 10 minutes. They're there to show you how to successfully complete the lab. And of course, anytime you have questions, you can call me, text me, email me. So that's a brief overview of the class, and if you have any questions or you ever need help, please get in contact with me. And I actually even have it here under my faculty profile. You see I've got my cell phone number, my email, and this is the only time you'll see a picture of me, because even when I make these videos I want to show you stuff on the screen. You don't want to see a talking head. So good luck. I think you'll have a great semester, and please try to stay ahead of the curve. Thanks.